Welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education. This meeting is being televised live on ACPS TV and streamed on ACPS YouTube channel. General information and protocols for the meeting are posted on the sign by the doorway as you enter the room. So please make sure you read those if you have not already. Please pause for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance. Stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Now please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2.03, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second? Consensus? Thank you. Item 2.04, establish agenda order.
Move to establish agenda as printed.
Second.
Have consensus? Thank you. We need our additional members to be out here in order to do our recognitions. Yeah, no, we have 5. We just, okay, so it is my great pleasure this evening to, when we hit recognitions, recognize something that is both bitter and sweet, which is that our student member, Ms. Omasori, is now at her final meeting. Have we figured out what's going on? Okay, are we okay? Okay, the sound was doing something funny. So, Ms. Omasori, it's been quite a year. We cannot believe that we've come to the end of it. Speaking for myself, and I'm sure on behalf of all our colleagues, you have done an extraordinary job, and we have been absolutely thrilled to have you as a part of this board and join the ranks of student members of this county who are an extraordinary bunch, and you have certainly risen to every challenge that you've been presented on this board. So we are thrilled to think about you running off now to your next chapter. Duke University is lucky to have you, and I know you will bring so much to them as you have brought to us. And we have a few things for you. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Schalheim right now.
Firstly, I'm going to miss you. You've been incredible, and thank you for your service to the students and the county. And we, the board, have a little something for you. Oh, nice. Yeah, I try to make it do colors.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so yeah.
I'm going to save this so I don't cry.
Yeah. Just something that might come in handy for your
Wow.
for your dorm. Some towels and do colors again with college-like lettering with your name on it. So yeah.
So you'll think of us every time you get out of the shower, right?
Yeah. As that was almost a Terryism. It was borderline and very close to a Terryism. Good job, Joanna. Must be the seat.
Yeah. And we also have something a little more official as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know you'll go far, and just remember where you started, and we're all very proud of you.
Yes, we And before I turn it over to you, some of our other colleagues, I think, have things they would like to say. I see a couple of other lights. Ms. Ellis?
Boomy, it's just been a pleasure to serve with you, to see you grow in that role. It's amazing that you've only been here a year because, I mean, you really, you are ready to go out there and lead. So I'm just, and always remember that we're here, and please reach out and keep us updated. Best wishes.
Mr. Silkworth?
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. You know, what can I say, Boomy? Accepted to Yale. Accepted to Harvard. Didn't want to go there. She's going to be a Blue Devil. Going to Duke. I think that is absolutely awesome. Boomy, you have in fact been probably one of the best mobs I think Anne Arundel County Public Schools has ever had. You have been awesome. My only regret, and I've never said this to you, but I'm going to say it to you now. My only regret is that during the course of my career, I didn't have the opportunity to be your teacher. I can tell you at this point in time, and I think I'm speaking for my colleagues on the board, you've been a teacher and a mentor to us. Best of luck, my dear. Please come back and see us.
Thank you. Ms. Corkadell?
Thank you, President Tobin. Well, I do share the sentiments of my colleagues, but I did want to just add a couple notes that you've made us a better board. And your contribution, and it speaks droves because you led our students in a time in through recovery. And that's a moment in history that can never be replicated and that we proudly bore with you. So thank you. You've made me a better board member too.
Thank you. Ms. Dent?
What do you say to the person that sat beside you, kind of guided you at 17 years old? There's a few people in my life that I can think of that I wouldn't want sitting beside me at 17 years old. But I can tell you wholeheartedly that I admire not only your passion, I admire your early resilience to not only follow your passion, to be but to be passionate about your history in and of itself, and to recognize all of the things that go along with being a Black woman in America, and knowing how strong you are. I am just so excited about seeing what the future has to offer, and you are what makes me get up and do this job every single day. I know that not only that there's one BOME, but there is 84,000 other BOME opportunities that are out there. And I think you have represented the students of Anne Arundel County extremely well. And so I wish you best of luck. Sorry that you're a Blue Devil. We beat you all every year, but
All right. Yeah, we can cut the mic there.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Ms. Schalheim, did you put your light back on?
Well, yeah, I just want to say, like, you please keep in touch. Thanks.
Yes. As they say. Oh, Dr. Arlotto,
Yeah,
please.
So, I have some things for you as well, but before we get, just as your colleagues have said, I want to say thank you. Your student voice is important, and you remind this board, you remind this superintendent, you remind the public each and every time we're together about our why, right? You are our why. You represent those 85,000 ones, and you've done so brilliantly this year. And so we're incredibly proud of you. You'll do well, whatever it is you choose to do, wherever you choose to go. Know how much your work has meant and changed us and increased our student voice. So thank you for that. So a couple of things for you. I was able to talk with your principal.
Oh my God.
And get your sign back for you. That can go in your
I was
dorm
gonna say,
room.
let's get a picture of this one.
And this as well.
Wow.
Not
Well,
sure-
my dorm
I'm not
is
sure
pretty
your roommate's
small.
gonna want this in your dorm. That is for you as well.
I actually got a single, so.
And your roommate will.
This is incredible. I can't believe this.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is a poor day to wear mascara.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Boomy, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I'll say a couple words. So thank you from everyone on the board and those 85,000 students that you speak of. As you all know, but those listening may not know, I drove about 2.5 hours from Ocean City because I was like, I can't miss my last meeting. And as I was driving across the Bay Bridge, I was thinking about July 1st, and I'm wearing the dress that I wore when I was appointed for that exact reason. And I say this to my friends across the country who are fighting to have students on their boards that can vote, who don't have any student representation. And I thought about this with all the students that I've gotten to meet about how much this genuinely has changed my life. I even said this to my successor when I took him out to eat, that this is such a, I don't even think the word marvelous or wonderful or extraordinary begins to cover what this position has done and can do for any student who dares to take its seat. And I remember walking the stage at graduation, and I said this to Ms. Schauheim, and I said this to my principal, how I couldn't even look at the screen of all the graduates. It wasn't staring at myself graduating that made me cry. It was seeing my classmates get to walk that stage that made me almost cry during my speech, because every graduate, every student who's walked the halls of an ACPS school, those are the students that I felt so blessed to serve. And so I don't even think of it as an end. I just think of it as a beginning, because regardless of where the students are, whether it's in Anne Arundel County or Durham or anywhere in the country, what I want to do is serve the students K through 12 in public schools. And I'm just so thankful that I've been able to do that at such a young age and get that started, get the rest of my life started so quickly. So, wow. I'm just thinking about 13-year-old Boomy who moved here and absolutely hated the county because I knew nobody. And now I felt a county that I will always call home. And it's because of you all. So thank you. I don't want to continue to rant, but all I can really give is the greatest of gratitudes for being able to spend my last year in high school in this manner. Yeah, even the 3-hour board meetings and the 8-hour board meetings.
3 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, my first board meeting was
And
rather
the
short.
12-hour
Yeah.
board meeting.
12-hour board meetings and the late nights driving onto exit 22. I'm going to miss 2644 River Road really poorly. It's like, I can't believe I'm not going to have anything to do on Wednesdays anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm certain that you will.
Yeah.
just not here. Wow, I'm overwhelmed. I truly am. Wow. Now that 2-hour drive doesn't seem that much anymore. I'm just really, really happy with what we were able to do, because I genuinely feel like when I say making change is being envious of what you get to leave behind, I truly mean it. And I'm just completely elated that I was able to create an Anne Arundel County that looks closer to what I wished it was and wish it can be in the future. And having had a helping hand in that, 1/8 of a hand really, is just, I don't know how I got so lucky. I really don't.
Well, we do. You've worked hard. You're smart. You've cared. And I know I'll someday say I knew you when. And to my young, beautiful Yoruba friend, the world is yours. Go get it. And don't be a stranger. Okay? And we'll always be here. So, thank you.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah. Okay. With that, I will move on now to the president's report, some of which Ms. Omasori, I'm sorry, what? Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. It's a busy night. Yes, we will move on to public comment. So, speakers will be allotted 2 minutes each and may not allocate their time to others. The yellow light below me will shine when you have 30 seconds remaining. The red light below me will shine and you will hear a tone when your time has expired. The board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing this meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. Please speak only on the topic which you signed up to speak, for which you signed up to speak. It is not the board's general practice to engage in question and answer session with speakers. For the record, please give your name before speaking. All handouts should be given to the board assistant. So we will begin with in-person public comment, and I will ask the first 3 speakers to come up. Mr. Ryan Caminiti, Ms. Kristen Caminiti, and Ms. Emily Jones. Good evening, Mr. Caminiti.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Caminiti, and I am a 6th grader at Crofton Middle School. I am concerned about the decision to stop morning activities such as band and other morning clubs. This year I was in the symphonic and jazz bands. It was an amazing experience for my 6th grade year. I learned so much and really grew as a musician. Band was one of my favorite experiences in middle school. While we have band class during the school day, the morning rehearsals gave us more time to practice our music as an entire group to prepare for our concerts. I felt so proud when we performed and everyone thought we sounded amazing. I don't think we would have performed as well without these extra rehearsals. These morning rehearsals were also allowed me to get to know kids in higher grades who I otherwise would never have met. At my school, these rehearsals are not mandatory. But I like practicing in the morning because it allowed me to be as focused as possible. Music takes a lot of focus and attention from all the students. If we had practice after school, I think everyone would be tired and less able to focus. Also, I really enjoyed participating in after-school clubs that let me try new things and were a break from the focus needed during the school day. Most weeks I attended chess club, but sometimes I also went to makerspace. I loved getting to try so many new things. I know some people have mentioned having band during flex, but flex is the time most students use to catch up on assignments or get help. If students had band during flex, they would miss out on this important time, which really helped me to learn time management skills. Additionally, flex is only 30 minutes and before school rehearsals were an hour. With the change in start times next year, I was excited that before school activities would start an hour later, allowing me to get more sleep. I know some students have a hard time getting to before school activities, but others have issues with after school activities. It's hard to find a system that works for everyone. But at Crofton Middle, having activities both before and after school created a lot of options, and hopefully everyone can find something that works. But this may not be true for other schools. That's why each school should get to decide what works for them. Please don't get rid of all before school activities. For some kids, looking forward to these things gets us out of bed and excited for every school day. Thank you. And thank you to Dr. George Arlotto for everything he's done for our school system.
Thank you. Ms. Caminiti.
So, Boomy, I just really want to share, and I hope I don't expose anything, but for someone who arrived here when she was 13 and didn't know anybody, I saw her at the grocery store the other day, and she was using a different name and wearing a mask so she wouldn't be recognized. So, you've come a long way, and thank you so very much. Yeah. I won't say what grocery store. For the past 2 years, I've heard this board repeatedly talk about the importance of mental health, the mental health of our students here in Anne Arundel County. Personally, I can tell you that the opportunity to participate in 2 music groups at Crofton Middle School has contributed to my oldest son, Ryan, and other 6th graders having an amazing first year at Crofton Middle. At CMS, there are band classes during the day. However, there is no way for the entire band, made up of students from different grades, to rehearse together during the school day. So our amazing band teacher chooses to hold rehearsals before school so the entire band can rehearse as a group. While strongly encouraged, these rehearsals are not mandatory. It is these rehearsals that bring cohesion and camaraderie among all the students participating and are largely responsible for the high caliber of music these groups perform. Because these rehearsals are held before school, students can also participate in after-school clubs. My son has enjoyed chess club, which grows his mind in different ways and allows him to build relationships with students he wouldn't have otherwise. Crofton Middle has created a schedule of before, during, and after-school activities that provide a wide variety of opportunities for all students, gives teachers the flexibility to hold clubs and rehearsals at a time that works for them, and gives students the chance to explore various activities and opportunities. Middle school is a crucial time when getting to try numerous activities helps students find their true passions. Please don't take away from individual schools the ability to decide when to hold activities. I know that principals like Mr. Zetwick at Crofton Middle know their communities well and are capable of making these decisions. As with all extracurricular activities, there are equity issues. Some students have difficulty getting to school early, others can't stay after due to family responsibilities, but we cannot address equity issues by limiting the choices available to students. Where gaps exist, parents like me can work with the school to help close them.
Please summarize.
Please give school administrators the autonomy to make the best decisions for their schools and allow before school activities to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I too, I know this is your last meeting, Dr. Arlotto, and I know that we haven't always agreed, but I know 100% of the time your heart has always cared tremendously about the students of this county. And I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you so very much and wish you the best of luck and let you know that I will miss you very much.
Ms. Jones.
Hello, my name is Emily Jones and I'm a 7th grader at Crofton Middle School. I participate in chamber orchestra that meets before schools on Fridays. I also participated in solo ensemble at the county and state levels, as well as all-county orchestra and the Chesapeake Youth Symphony Orchestra. Chamber orchestra gives me a chance to play with more serious musicians at school and gives me extra time to prepare for school concerts. When I learned that before school clubs and activities were canceled for next year, I was shocked and upset. This means that advanced students in band, orchestra, chorus, dance, and others can't participate in extra morning rehearsals, which grows the program and motivates students to continue with it. Due to block scheduling by grade, the only time we can rehearse mixed grade ensembles is in the morning. I understand that school start times have changed so older students can sleep in. Even with chamber orchestra, I will still be able to sleep in an hour more than this year. These clubs should be optional so anyone who needs more sleep can choose not to participate in them. Those of us who do not need the extra sleep can choose to participate in these enriching activities. The tradition of these morning music rehearsals have been the foundation of our music program's success. There are some groups like jazz band which are not offered during the school day. They exclusively rehearse in the mornings. My brother will be in 6th grade next year and he has been looking forward to jazz band for over a year. Changemakers is another club that meets in the mornings only. They have raised money for Ukraine and promoted equality at the school. These groups and many like them would cease to exist if morning clubs are canceled. Some people have suggested moving these morning clubs to the afternoon, but that will make people have to choose between music and other activities like sports. That also requires my teachers to stay at school even later than they already are. Teachers will already be staying an hour later with Teachers will already be staying an hour later with the change in start times. Adding these clubs in the afternoon will make them stay 2 hours later than this year. That's time away from their families. That's not a fair spot to put students or teachers in. The administrators at my school know what's best for our students. They should be the ones to decide what time of day these clubs are offered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So now we'll move to virtual testimony.
Decide what time of day these clubs are offered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So now we'll move to virtual testimony.
You might have to turn this phone off.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the virtual portion of our public comment this evening. Speakers will be allotted 2 minutes each and may not allocate their time to others. Ms. Howe will indicate when your time has expired. The board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing this meeting. Student-specific and personal matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. It is not the board's general practice to engage in question and answer session with speakers. For the record, please give your name before speaking. Our first speaker is speaking on item 6.07, policy revision, first reading wellness, is Carrie Lynch.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right, so I'm a lifelong resident of Anne Arundel County for 64 years now, and I've gone to school in Anne Arundel County. I have had 2 sons attend Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and now I have grandchildren, and I'm concerned. My grandchildren are getting ready to enter pre-K. I'm concerned about the ethics in our schools, specifically about critical race theory and the transgender identity that's being taught in our pre-K through our high school grades. And I've heard this firsthand from a 2nd grade teacher who's a very close friend of mine. And I want to bring attention to the marylandpublicschools.org that exhibits the Maryland education framework of pre-K through high school. And I was surprised to find there is gender identity and expression being taught in this curriculum on that website to pre-K.
Mr. Lynch, we'd like to remind you that your comments should be based on the policy revision, first reading wellness code AE. Thank you.
Well, that's not the question I signed up for. I signed up for the ethics. So I'd like to continue. The
ethics would be next.
Okay, well, that's what I signed up for. This indoctrination of our school children is not only unethical, but it's extremely disturbing to any moral person. So I would like to know exactly what is the curriculum being taught to our 85,000 some students that you just mentioned earlier. And if there are any books relating to these subjects that are in our schools or recommended by schools or this teachers union. And I just will close with this being taught in our schools. How dare you? Thank you.
Thank you. That does conclude the virtual portion of our public comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to the president's report. So I wanted to take a few moments to reflect on what was a truly wonderful week of graduations. I was privileged to attend a number of them. I believe the very first one, Phoenix Academy, as well as several of our high school, comprehensive high school graduations, particularly Annapolis High, and ended last night with having the privilege of speaking at the Marley Glen school graduation, which was extraordinary. My colleague, Mr. Silkworth, was with me for that. And I just want to say, as Ms. Omasori alluded to earlier, it was a magnificent experience to see all of our students finally in the case of the comprehensive schools, at live, and able to walk that stage in something like what the previous two classes had hoped they would be able to do. Finally, in something that looked more like the normal graduation we were hoping to get back to. I want to extend incredible gratitude to the work of the staff that made those graduations work. It was phenomenal to be able to move that many people in and out of live for the first time we've ever actually done it, and have it be just a spectacular experience for every student and every family, is just remarkable. So I just think we need to give a round of applause for the staff who made this possible. I think the students and families, and it's a good thing, aren't aware sometimes of all that goes on behind the scenes, but it was extraordinary and just a source of tremendous joy. And I see a few lights, so I'm not sure what order they came on in, but I'll go down the list. Ms. Ellis.
Thank you. I'll be very brief, but I had to take the opportunity to also share my gratitude and congratulations, especially congratulations to our graduates. I had, this year was personally for me very special. I got to give my niece a hug on the stage, and I got to give my own daughter a hug on the stage. Yeah, it was very special. It's why we're all here. So thank you, Dr. Alato, and your entire team for pulling it off.
Thank you. Ms. Frank.
Agree on everything. It was truly a spectacular event. It was, it was a tremendous production, and it was thrilling to be there. It was like a rock star show. I'm going to signal my intent. I noticed that Miss Jackson's not here tonight. She did not get a motorized vehicle at this venue, and I'm going to highly recommend that we provide one at the next opportunity.
Where was the gator? Yeah.
Yeah, where's the gator? So she's not here tonight, but I will definitely let her know.
Yes. Mr. Silkworth.
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. I've been through a few graduations in my time. I just can't tell you how proud I was last week to be a board member here in Anne Arundel County. The staff, whether it's the staff from the central office here or the staff from each and every school, the principals have the authority, and they organize their graduations. They were extremely well organized. I was so happy with that. Dr. Alata, I have to say how much pride I have for him, because he wasn't on the stage all the time, but he was out there with Miss Jackson, Dr. McMahon, and so many others. It was an absolutely marvelous experience. I also had the opportunity to go to the graduations for our three special schools. That's Central, Ruth Parker Easton, and Marley Glenn. They were unbelievable graduations. So again, I just have so much pride to be a part of what has taken place for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schalheim.
Yes, ditto on everything. I don't think I could say it better, and I'm not going to take our time to say it again, but it was just lovely being in that space. It was lovely being at those graduations and being a part of it. And getting to hug special people on stage and the like. So yeah, it was thrilling, and massive kudos to everyone involved in the planning and execution of those events. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Omasori.
Echoing what everyone has said, going to the graduations, which of course, the only ones I'd gone to prior to this year were my siblings, so I always thought they were quite boring. But I went to 5, and my only regret is not having gone to more, especially because I had many friends, particularly at Meade and Southern, who were like, "Why are you not at ours?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't schedule you in. I don't know what you want me to do." But I would like to, obviously, I think class of 2022, like everyone else, I believe we're the best class. But it was really remarkable to hear the speeches of the students who, at a lot of high schools, they have to like compete to be their school's keynote speaker. And every single one I heard, I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to top that. It's just incredible to see the people in the crowds cheering for their classmates, the smiles as they see themselves on the live TV. And so another just quick shout out to everyone who was involved, but particularly the production that filmed those graduations so that those who couldn't actually attend, because we only had a certain number of tickets, could watch along at home. I had so many of my friends out of the state, out of the county, who were texting me like, "Oh God, I can't believe you said that in your graduation speech." And I was like, "What?" Because they were watching at home. And it just felt like I was graduating 5 times. So it was a really, really special time. I felt very lucky to be able to hug my friends on stage as well. To see Miss Corcado get to be with her son, that really warmed my heart. I'm not going to lie. And I just am really glad, and I can't believe that we're at this point, because when we first started this year, I didn't know that we would be having graduation like that. And so it feels like the greatest gift. And on behalf of class of 2022, thank you, because regardless of our 4 years, we get to smile when we think about the end.
Thank you. Yes, it was a reminder of why we're all here and what's possible, and the future is bright. So, and I want to take the last moment of my comments simply to offer, on behalf of this board, my deep thanks to Dr. Arlotto for his many years of devoted service to this school system and this district, which in some ways was evident in this wonderful, wonderful week of graduations. And so, thank you. It is deeply appreciated. All right. So we will now move on to item 4.02. Ms. Ellis, the school hours report.
Yes. Just to update a little bit, the new website is up, and everyone who has questions and wants more information about the school hours changes coming up for next school year can go to www.aacps.org/2223 school hours. And that will take you to the new website that has informational videos for each of the school clusters. And at the very top is an amazing video. It's a message to our students from our board member, Miss Bumi Omasori. And Miss Omasori, you really encapsulate what our responsibility here is as a board, because you clearly understand so much about the issue, not just that you're a high school student and you're tired in the morning and you know it's hard to get up, but you thoroughly convey all the key factors of why we're doing this, the impact on student mental health, and just so many aspects of students' lives, academics, graduation rates, all of those things. You understand it and you convey it so well in the video. So I do encourage everyone to please take a look at that. And so well done. Thank you. On this site, you'll also be able to interact with AACPS. There is a button you can click, ask a question, view answers. So you can read other people's questions and the answers they've received. And then if you still have a question, you can submit one. You will personally get a response from AACPS, plus other people will be able to view your question because they might have had the same question. And then there's also links to resources. And one of them is additional information on healthier school hours at AACPS. And if you click on that one, it brings you back to the original webpage that we had for this topic, which gives you all of the history, all of the background on this issue within Anne Arundel County, but also nationally. Again, really breaks out the why. You can click on links to research, which is undeniable, and it's why so many health professionals have recommended this change. So I think, oh, and then in addition, my apologies, I'm just pulling up so I get the date right. I had mentioned in the last meeting, but I will mention it again, that there will be a child care fair held at Old Mill High School, June 21st from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And I believe we have several childcare providers who have signed up to attend, and hopefully parents who are in need of childcare support can come to this fair and interact with these various childcare providers and find what they need there. I believe that's it for my report, Dr. Tobin. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
As a board member. Would this be an appropriate time?
Sure. Go ahead.
Dr. Arlotto, I know one of the big concerns is a lot of parents have expressed, but also our child care providers like Rec and Parks, that high school students have traditionally in this county, because we've had these hours the way we have, that high school students have often helped provide that after school care with our child care providers. So what kind of opportunity is there for high school students to still be able to work in our child care facilities? I know some are getting, I believe, some sort of certification. So can you give us some information on that?
Sure, to the best of my ability. We have students, high school students that assist and work and do internships with childcare providers, licensed childcare providers, in really one of two ways. One is when they are seeking their own CTE certification in child development.
Right.
And there's well over 430 hours, 480 that those students have to earn in order, as part of their to work towards their certification. That's a lot of hours, and so those students are putting in lots of hours. The other is if a student just wants to earn some extra money in an after-school job or on weekends, and so they can work with childcare providers in that way. And in both those instances, they can work with their internship coordinator at school to arrange for that, arrange their schedule such that they'll obviously, the high schools now are getting out after the elementary schools. So that means those students that now want to earn more of those hours or work directly with those students in an internship will have to alter their senior schedule and work and go to school part-time They can have an early dismissal, which is very typical for many of our seniors, as you're well aware. So we have talked and begun the planning with the internship coordinators to offer that and sort of talk it up, that this is an option for students that want to take advantage of it.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And then my other question is about, we are all hearing about people concerned about before school activities that have already been occurring. And we're particularly hearing from middle school parents. Can you give us any more information about how a student who this year had a robust experience with band or orchestra or whatever they have in middle school, are they losing opportunities next year, or are they still going to be able to participate?
So the opportunity is going to change. I shouldn't say the opportunity is going to change. How they'll access that opportunity is going to change. We know the opportunity is important, so we don't want to eliminate the opportunity. But we want to stay true to, as our team has been planning now for a long time to implement the new school hours, we want to stay true to the science that this board has stood behind, which is, does our students need healthier school hours, that we overschedule our children, and that they need healthier school hours. So they, therefore, that will, as you discuss, as you talk about the research many times, Mrs. Ellis, that should then equate with a better performance in school, healthier students, better attendance, and those kinds of things. So we have been talking about, as we are working to implement this as a team, that we want to hold true to that. So part of it is that it seems it would work against that if we say we're going to move school start later, but we're going to allow for things in the morning. We're going to have swim team practice in the morning, or whatever it might be. Even though it is optional, there are those students that, as you heard young Ryan talk today, that love it and they want to continue it. And we want Ryan and his colleagues to continue in band and orchestra and dance and change makers and all of those other things. And so with the, one of the things that we learned during COVID was the importance of breaking up the day. That our students got a lot out of breaking up the day, whether it was that hour and a half during lunch or some downtime between their video meetings with their teachers. And so, as you're well aware, we changed the middle school and the high school schedule this current school year to include flex time. And so flex time was built exactly for this purpose, to build those non-academic pieces into the school day, whether it's clubs and activities or it's a go-back period. And that's the way many of the middle schools use those periods, and the high schools as well. So we've begun conversations with the middle school, meeting with the middle school principals and our schedulers to talk about how we can help them schedule these morning activities into the school day. That also helps us with access. The student is there and they can now access. It's not a choice of I'm unable to get to school because I have to ride the bus, and mom or dad or grandma or aunt or uncle can't drive me to school. That's a luxury for many students. It's not a luxury for all. And so this helps us create equity by building it into the school day. The students have really taken advantage of the flex periods. And so we're going to work with the middle schools to build into their flex periods many of those things that were occurring before school. It's not going to be perfect. We're not going to get them all built into because some of those schools have 6, 8, or 10 different programs that they're running in the morning. Some of our middle schools have 1 or 2. About half of our middle schools have none. And so we are going to encourage those schools to build programs into their flex time to encourage clubs and activities and band practice and orchestra practice and chorus practice into the school day, and encourage them to do more of that, engage those students during the school day.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Frank.
Yes, thank you. And as we're all well aware, we are moving on this path of changing our start times. And in my conversations with you, you have indicated that you are ready to go and that you will be there by the start of the school year. But there are also concerns that other pieces of this may not be in place in a way that they will need to be to execute this appropriately. Those include some of the crossing guards, the county pieces of this, like crossing guards and Parks and Recs childcare and potential fields that don't have lights, etc. Can you update on where some of those concerns are? And give us some numbers to hear where we are in the county.
I will certainly do my best. There have been several of your colleagues that have been part of conversations with the county executive, with representatives, director of the Wrexham Park, with the police department regarding crossing guards. And so they certainly can jump into the conversation. I would encourage them to do that as well. Yes, we will. We are full steam ahead. Once we got our marching orders from the board about planning for and implementing change in school hours. And so our team has been doing a phenomenal job of planning for that. You certainly are aware, and you mentioned things like bus drivers. There is a concern we're not going to have enough bus drivers. We don't have enough bus drivers now. And so whether we moved start times in the fall or not, we're going to be short bus drivers. Every district in the state of Maryland and across the country, I believe, are going to be short bus drivers. Our change in school hours will exacerbate that for us because it's creating a shorter pickup and drop off window. But I don't see a long line. I don't envision a long line of bus drivers lining up to get certified and start to drive buses for Anne Arundel County or any county in the state between now and when we begin school in August. Crossing guards is another issue as a result of the condensed pickup and drop off time in the morning and the afternoon. Crossing guards now that have the ability to be at more than one intersection, they do an early intersection and then they might do 2 more intersections, 3 maybe in a given morning and 3 in an afternoon. Because of the condensed time, won't be able to do that according to what our police department colleagues are telling us. And so that will reduce the number of intersections that will be covered that are currently covered now. I think I'm saying that correctly. And the police department, you asked for a number, the number that they gave us in our last conversation with them was roughly 100 intersections that are currently covered now, may not be covered similarly in the upcoming school year. And then Wrexham Park is another. They are having just they're having a really difficult time hiring staff to run the aftercare, the before and after care centers. Now it will be an increased number of what we'll need is aftercare centers because of later start. And so they are voicing that concern. The director of Wrexham Park is fully behind and understands what the board is doing. She was very supportive, if I remember in our conversation, about changing start times, but she wanted to make sure that the board understood very clearly that they don't believe that by the time school starts, they'll have had an opportunity to hire the number of people they need to hire for the upcoming school year for aftercare.
And what does that number look like compared to previous years?
I think the number, if I remember, I don't see Alex, I believe we've had in the past 56 aftercare programs, aftercare sites, and we currently have 46. And again, these aren't my numbers. These are Wrexham Park. If I remember that conversation, I see some head shaking somewhere in there.
Something like that,
but it was 56, and so they're 10 down now. And her fear is that they won't be able to cover those and some that they're currently covering now.
So for the need for Wrexham Parks, do they cover before care?
Some do, absolutely. Yep, they have before care centers and after care centers.
Okay.
There'll be less of a need for before care centers because the elementaries will be starting earlier. And that's the reason she was, and I've been focusing on the aftercare.
Do you know whether or not the need has increased overall for childcare because of this? Or is it
My understanding is the need has increased because the number of private providers is less in the county. And that's a result of COVID. Did I say that correctly? Yes. So the overall number, whatever that number was pre-COVID was X number of providers that parents could access.
Okay.
That number is now Y. I don't have a number, but it is less because a number of those childcare providers did not reopen during COVID or after COVID. They were unable to maintain their business.
Okay. Yeah. My child's former preschool said that her concern was that one of the teachers that she had was also a middle school teacher, so she wasn't there for that. And I was wondering if that was a similar situation, that they were being pulled away in different directions, or if it was just a basic shortage.
I think it's a basic shortage. I've not heard of that pull from the classroom, from our classrooms, but I have heard.
It's a private. It was a
Yeah,
private.
okay.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
certainly do have concerns about the feasibility within the county to support the structure that we are going to need to implement this. And then, the other piece of this is I have concerns. The county should have known this was coming. And I am a little shocked that they haven't built in a little bit more there. So I'll just throw that out there.
Just so that I can add to that point, because it's a good point. To say the county departments that are impacted by this have known about a possible change in school hours for many, many years, if not at least the months of this school year. It is not new to them. What is new to everybody is when our work began when we began to finalize what the exact times would look like in our work with Prismatic, and we were able to publish those. Now it put meat on the bones, if you will, right? It's theoretical until you come up with the exact times, and that's what we've now been able to publish based on our work with Prismatic.
Thank you. Ms. Schalheim?
Yes, I have a lot to say, but before I get to that, I want to touch on something I thought I heard you say, because I think it's runs counter to what we've been told and what we've been saying to folks this entire time. The change in school hours does not exacerbate the capacity problems that the school system has. It does not, and that's what we've been told by Prismatic multiple times, and that's what we've stated to our public, and so I just want to make that very clear. Let's talk about before school programs, because the intent of this board was to align school hours with science, with research. The intent of this board was not to take away, at least according to this board member, and I'm pretty sure the vast majority, if not the entire board, the autonomy of local school communities and local school administrators to make decisions on behalf of their communities in terms of what's offered and when. I also want to make clear that our middle school hours are now 45 minutes after the recommended time of 8:30, and so there is still time in the morning to have before school activities. So I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated. I've been hearing nonstop from constituents in District 5 and people up and down the county about this, and I'm trying to square what we've talked about offline, what's been talked about offline with other board members, and what we're talking about here now, as in a meeting, as a quorum or larger, about this issue. And I'm trying to square the flex time, which is being used currently to go back and talk with the teacher about math or science or social studies or what have you, and having time to do orchestra, band, percussion, string ensemble, dance, change makers, etc., now. So am I, as a student, then, if I'm a 6th grade student, 7th grade student, 8th grade student, now going to have to pick between getting help on my homework and then practicing on, spending time practicing on the things that I love, that I don't want to lose in terms of opportunities in dance or music? Can you enlighten me onto how that's going to work?
So the answer to your question is yes.
Well, that's not okay with this board member.
Understood. There will have to be a choice at certain times. So there could be a time where it is set aside that a day on Monday flex will be chorus rehearsal for all the 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. When that, and I'm in the chorus, I will go to that, but I won't be able to go to a help session with my English teacher because I'm part of the chorus. Now, I could go on Tuesday, flex, morning or afternoon, depending on how it's scheduled, but there will be times when you are in one place doing something and you can't be in another place. So that's the answer. Yes, student will have to make a choice.
I'm just failing to understand how we're not utilizing the perfectly usable time before school in the middle school levels to give these students, again, the opportunities that they've been afforded up until now. And I've also heard, well, we'll just shift them to after school. Well, where's the equity in that? Like, why is the equity argument better or worse for after school than before school? Because we know, we know quite rightly that, you know, if we can't fill buses, if we can't run routes to get kids to school or home from school, how on earth are we going to provide activity buses? So I just don't understand why we're taking away that autonomy from the local school administrator under the intent of the board, because I don't believe it was the intent of the board to remove that authority from the local school community. And I don't know why we're not keeping that autonomy within, you know, to the principals to make decisions about the communities that they know better than we do. I'm very extraordinarily frustrated with this, and I hear nonstop all day long from people in my community. And I don't want to have to tell them you have to choose between getting homework help and orchestra, because we've been able to do both up until this point. So I remain extraordinarily frustrated. I have no more questions. I'm just pretty angry about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Corkadell.
I want to thank a couple of my members for already getting some answers to some questions that I had. But I got to say, as a parent whose children benefited from the program and watching their fellow students benefit and why they're benefiting, I do have some very, very serious issues of the interpretation. And I do not intend to go into the operational lane, but I think this board has an obligation to make sure that all operations, regulations, policy, and everything else under it is following equitable practices and has at the very least followed the equity lens. That's our obligation under the state and otherwise. Based on the information I am hearing and based on the information I have been receiving and the concerns and who is rendering the concerns and why they are rendering the concerns. These are constituents, our students I'm hearing from, our staff, our parents, our overall general community. This is not just serving as an optional extracurricular activity. This is giving people opportunities. And when we shut doors of opportunities and claim on the other side that we are trying to close gaps, that is in our lane. And so I do not feel that this particular interpretation of this board's decision is equitable. And at the appropriate moment, although this is, I will admit, I would prefer a couple minutes to formulate it, because as I'm hearing this more and more from the answers that have just been provided to my members, I cannot with a good conscience allow something so inequitable to continue. And so at the appropriate moment, I do think we have an obligation to do something here to ensure that is it perfect? No. But it is something that has provided so much for so many people, and it's going to stop very abruptly. And the kids who need the flex time for other very valuable, real educational opportunities are going to have to walk away from their passions. They're going to have to walk away from those opportunities, and we have effectively shut doors. That is my personal opinion. But what is not my personal opinion is when I review what our equity lens says, what our equity intent, this is about intent and purpose. And there is nothing in the intent and purpose that I can possibly see of this particular aspect emerging out of this decision that is appropriate.
Thank you. Ms. Dent.
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. So I have a lot of concerns. I have been really thinking about school start times a lot, because when we went to the conference here a couple of months ago, that was one of the big topics that I thought was really cool because, hey, we're doing this too. So it's a really cool thing. But a lot of considerations that was brought to my attention. One, the health. That's one. The other thing of it is planning. So once a decision is made, there is a lot of work goes into carrying out that decision. And so I think that for me, we just need to know, I need to know, won't speak for anyone else, where we're at and what problems that we've encountered and how do we take all the things that I'm pretty sure your staff has encountered, some assumed, some presumptive, some realistic, and really take a deep dive into what are the real challenges that we have with implementing the school start times. So regardless to what happens, we still know that every decision comes with challenges. And so I don't think that we have articulated all of those challenges. What I am concerned about is, although the decisions have been put out of the before school programs, and that decision was made as part of the justification for implementing the school start times. What I'm concerned about is how many more programs need to be stopped, how many more decisions that's going to be come as a result of that we find out, through an email. Is there a way that we could work toward all these things in a band of excellence so that we aren't doing things that one steps over into your lane, but at the same time, we have a clear awareness and maybe there are some other things that can be done, i.e. maybe we do get with the county to find additional resources, whatever that thing is. What I'm very concerned about is that it's being moved in a direction that may not pose a problem to you with trying to implement it, but it poses a problem to the public as a result of implementing. So I've asked Dr. Tobin prior to this, is I would like to really speak with you and get a real great understanding of all the challenges, all the problems that's posed as a result of trying to implement this and actually think through that. Because I think right now it's a lot of frustration. But we said at the beginning that it was going to be frustration. So it's not that frustration is a challenge. Communication, I think Mr. Moses sent out more communications than I've probably ever got. So I applaud you for doing it. But what you're doing is sending out the communications that you're getting. And so I think that for me, I would like for us to, notwithstanding trying to operationalize a decision that is clearly your decision, plan to responsibility to execute, but have knowledge of where those challenges are so that we can be a help and not a hindrance to the implementation process. So for me, I just feel like all of there's some things missing, and I don't know what those things are. And before I make a judgment decision on what's going on, I really want to really understand all of the reasons on why we're making these kind of decisions, and how can we make sure that it is less impactful on the community and the students, and not have the young man have to stay here this late at night when he can be playing and doing all the other great things he should be doing at his age, but to be worried about the fact that he's not going to have something that he's passionate about at the school that he loves doing. So I know that it is a long way to say, I really think that we need to work together with you to figure out how do we implement this in a way that is not so stressful, but communicate to everyone that although we're doing the best job, and we're given the constraints that you have, there are problems that's associated with that. And those problems are not going to, it's not going to happen easy. So it's my thoughts.
Thank you. Given some of the comments, I think it would be valuable if we take a 10-minute recess and come back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we're back in session. So we will resume. You had indicated, Ms. Corkadell, that you had something you wanted to bring forward?
Mike.
Yep.
Okay.
So as I had indicated, look, everybody is working so very hard on all aspects of it. And this is not reflective of the creative outside of the box that has brought us back to school, back to graduation, the prom, and other such things. But we do have to reflect and take some time and make sure that we do everything possible to get it right. This is not an operational. This is more just making sure that we're all on the same page and that we stay on point. And most importantly for me, I don't want to close doors. I don't want to make a student in a worse position than they were otherwise. And what we get at the end of that, I heard over $30 some million in scholarships just from like one of our high schools. That starts with those programs. Now, elementary is a different situation because of when they're starting. But we're shifting our middle schoolers by that same time, shifting their pre-work. I feel like I'm almost trying to parent all 84, all of our middle schoolers. And so with that in mind, I offer the following motion. I move that the administration take all reasonable actions to ensure that all extracurricular and academic support programs are not adversely impacted by the changes to the school hours for the 22-23 school year, and the board remains committed to support these efforts.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I see no lights.
Okay. I don't.
Would you like to
No.
offer any
That was
comments?
only if other
Yeah.
for final say. I think I've spoken my piece.
Okay, then. All right. Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Ms. Omasori,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Nay.
and Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Thank you. Okay. I believe that concludes the school hours report. Ms. Ellis?
Since there has been a lot of sort of weighing in, and of course, we're all listening. Board members are all listening. We're receiving emails. We're receiving phone calls. We're reading newspaper articles. We are. I'm checking the website, questions and answers. We're all listening. There's some really important points were made tonight, which is that this school system is moving forward, and this school system is prepared and is going to be fully prepared to implement this change in the fall. And right here is a good example. Now we have a sort of side effect that has been brought to our attention recently, and we're committed to working on that. No matter when we make this change, which it has been decided when we're making this change, but if we were implementing this 2 years from now, all of the same challenges will have to be overcome. The school system is doing its part, and it is much easier for other entities who have to overcome their challenges for the county to simply ask us to stop what we're doing. That's the easiest solution. But we are a community, and we are coming together for our students, and it is up to the county to work towards fixing the challenges. And we are working with them, and we will continue to do that. But it's really an important reminder that it's time to fix this. And one last thing, every conversation I have about with someone about this, whenever they say, I support this, but I support this, but I support this, but always remember to follow that with, so therefore we should continue this unhealthy practice that we know is extremely negatively impacting the health and well-being of our students. And if that sentence seems inappropriate, if we, we simply have to remind ourselves that this is critical for our students, and we're going to move forward together, and we're going to find solutions. And just like countless communities across the nation who are now far better off, we're going to get there together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. And just a quick note to thank the many, many staff who have put in hours already, months, years at times, planning for this. There's extraordinary work being done, and we are deeply, deeply appreciative of it. Thank you. Okay, we will move now to item 4.03, the Crasc report. Welcome.
Hi.
Good evening, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, members of the board, and Dr. Arlotto. My name is Michelle Fidel. I'm an 8th grader at OMMS, and I will be a freshman at Chesapeake High School next year.
Yeah.
My pronouns are she, her, and I'm super excited to serve as Crasc Secretary of Education elect. Crasc had 8 members of the class of 2022, and we are so proud for their contribution and dedication to Crasc. We would like to wish them good luck as they head up to colleges and universities across the country. We know you all will make positive changes wherever you go. On Tuesday, June 14th, Crasc was thrilled to organize and host the final virtual General Assembly for this year's Crasc officer elections. During the General Assembly, we had almost 200 student delegates from middle and high school participate in this event. We had 13 incredible candidates who hosted virtual campaign breakout rooms, gave speeches, and answered delegates' questions during a Q&A session. Now, I am excited to share the results of the candidates and introduce the Crasc officer for the 2022 to 2023 school year. Serving as our next middle school coordinator, Sia Jane, a 7th grader at Chesapeake Science Point. Serving as our next Secretary of Communication, Eric Lynn, a sophomore at Severna Park High School. Serving as our next Secretary of Legislation, Mara Babb, a freshman at Crofton High School. Serving as our next Vice President, Indu Badala, a sophomore at Glen Burnie High School. And last but not least, serving as Crasc next president is Brenton Mead, a sophomore at Broad Neck High School. A huge congratulations to Crasc's newly elected officer. And thanks to all the AACPS awesome students who participated and voted during elections. I know for sure that the elected Crasc officers team will do spectacular things in the upcoming school year. Now, any AACPS middle school or high school student interested in participating in Crasc can apply to become part of the Crasc exec team. Applications are open until Friday, July 1st at 8 p.m. and can be found on the Crasc website. Now, I would like to hand it off to our successful, kind-hearted, outgoing Crasc president, Ms. Arusa Malik.
Good evening, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, members of the board, and Dr. Arlotto. My name is Arisa Malik. I'm a graduated senior from South River High School and have the privilege of serving as our current Crasc president. As my time as president soon comes to an end and will be in the good hands of Brenton, I want to take a moment and share a few highlights of what Crasc has accomplished this past year. COVID-19 and the restrictions that came with served as a major hurdle when it came to student engagement. Crasc went from completely in-person to virtual, and then at a point where we needed to find an in-between. This year, we implemented a hybrid meeting model for students. We had both completely virtual meetings and hybrid meetings at the Board of Education, where students could come in person or join via Google Meet at home. In December, we hosted our first joint meeting with the AACPS Service Learning Leadership Team. After a year of isolation, students from across the county were able to meet and work on service projects for the community. Throughout the year, we hosted general assemblies or large-scale meetings where students from both middle and high school student government delegations came together. We hosted a general assembly in November on student wellness. We believed it was important for students to understand how they could maintain their own personal wellness while transitioning from virtual learning to completely in person, along with discovering ways for their peers to do the same. In February, we hosted Advocacy 101, a general assembly where members of our executive team worked together to create workshops and presentations ranging from parliamentary procedure basics to navigating the Maryland General Assembly. As the next school year approaches, we urge the Board of Education, Maryland General Assembly bill process. In April, we hosted a SMOB General Assembly where students from all walks of life elected our next student member of the board. Our last General Assembly was just 2 days ago, where students voted on the 2022 to 23 Crasc officer team. Our parliamentarian, now President-elect Brenton, worked diligently with the Constitution Revisions Committee in order to help create changes to update the Crasc Constitution and bylaws to ratify a more updated version. Our middle school council, led by middle school coordinator, now Secretary of Education-elect Michelle, created a website specifically for middle school students and how they could get more involved with student government. Throughout the year, our Secretary of Service, now Vice President-elect Indu, served on the Joint Commission on the Opportunity Gap, aiming to provide input on ways to make Anne Arundel County more equitable for all. Our Equity Coordinator, Tara Kim, served on the county's Human Relations Commission, where she worked very hard on gaining more input on topics such as critical race theory and even helped create a forum for stakeholders to share their personal thoughts. This just scratches the surface of what Crasc and our executive team has been up to. We've submitted testimony in support of various bills. We've had executive team members traveling different schools to give internet safety talks. Crasc involvement in the Maryland Association of Student Councils has skyrocketed, and so much more. I would like to thank the Crasc executive team for all of their hard work this year, from creating workshops for our events, helping increase Crasc's social media presence, encouraging their peers to voice their concerns with us, and generally being some of the most devoted and dedicated student leaders in the county. As the next school year approaches, we urge the Board of Education to increase transparency and accountability with public stakeholders. The decisions that are made in this room are for the betterment of our students, teachers, staff members, and the community as a whole. Therefore, please ask yourself before every decision, large and small, did we go to the public? I would like to give a special thank you to Dr. Arlotto for always being the students' biggest supporter. He meets with students monthly through his teen advisory in order to hear what real students have to say. He's met with Crasc on several occasions when we wanted his opinion or perspective on issues. And when it comes to closing the opportunity gap, there is no better leader than Dr. Arlotto. Thank you for your leadership and dedication to us students. We will miss you. Thank you to our fantastic student member of the board, Boomy. We as Crasc admire your passion and careful consideration when it comes to every issue. Thank you for maintaining that vital relationship between Crasc and your position while ensuring that students' voices were being heard to the best of your ability. Duke is getting the absolute best, and that is for certain. It's been an honor to serve as Crasc president this past year. This organization has made me who I am today, and so has AACPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your service. And, oops, sorry. Oh, did you want to say something? Okay. Ms. Omasori.
So I'm not going to take too long here because I can just text all of you. But I think, if I'm quoting this correctly, Arusa touched upon something that I think is the reason why we're all here. When she was listing all of the accomplishments, that this only scratches the surface. Arusa, Michelle, and Brenton, who just happen to be here today, and their executive team, and the members of Crasc, that only scratches the surface of the amazing students that are brought up in the school system, that make it what it is, and what puts the school system on the map. And I'm not going to lie, the Let's Talk Justice to Crasc/SMA pipeline is very strong. And I am proud not only to have all of my very, very close friends be part of such an amazing group of students, but seeing Michelle, who I've known since she was in like the beginning of middle school, same thing with Brenton when he was in the beginning of high school, seeing them rise up. I hope this doesn't sound a bit facetious, but I feel old now because I'm looking at the next generation of not only Crasc, but the next generation of ACPS. And it makes me so, so mad. Not that mad, but a little mad that I'm going to North Carolina for school because I wish I could see every single moment of it. And so for those of us who are on this dais who get to hear the Crasc report in the next school year, I am very envious of you because I cannot wait to see where Crasc goes and how you all, which I know you will make ACPS better for all. So thank you to Arusa. Johns Hopkins doesn't know what's hitting them. And thank you to Brenton, Michelle, Indu, Mara, Sia, Eric. I can't name the whole thing off the top of my head, but thank you to all of you who will be leading ACPS along with the 84,000 other students right behind you.
Thank you. Ms. Ellis, I see you have a light, or is that your old light? Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And good luck. All right. Item 4.04, the PTA report is being done by video tonight.
Dr. Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, Dr. Arlotto, board members and guests. My name is Mallory LaFawn, and I am President of Anne Arundel County Council of PTAs. A few quick updates. National PTA Convention is this week, June 14th to June 19th at the National Harbor. Volunteers are still needed. If you're interested in attending and or volunteering, please check out the link on our Facebook page. The Free State PTA Convention and annual meeting will be held virtually on July 28th to 31st. Registration starts at $50 and more info can be found at www.fspta.org. And my remarks this evening with a thank you to Dr. Arlotto. Thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to the students and staff of AACPS. We appreciate all of your efforts to move our county forward while also closing equity and opportunity gaps. Your leadership and determination to keep our families safe and healthy during the ongoing pandemic has been inspiring to watch. We also appreciate your willingness to communicate and your transparency with AACC PTA throughout the years. We will miss seeing your smile and bow ties, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors, and only hope the incoming superintendent is not only as approachable, charming, and sharply dressed, but also as committed to providing an equitable and well-rounded educational experience for all students in our county. Thank you as always for allowing AACC PTA to continue to have a voice and seat at the table. Our parents and members continue to feel valued and heard. In closing, we hope everyone has a fun and safe summer, and we will see you all for 2022-2023 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a tall order, clearly. The sharply dressed part especially. So, yeah.
He's much better dressed than I.
Okay, thank you. Item 4.05, CAC report. Ms. Howard. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, fellow board members, and Dr. Alato. For the record, my name is Tanisha Howard, the Chair of the Citizen Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the CAC. On behalf of the CAC body, I am pleased to have this opportunity to share with the board our recent activities and final report for this school year. For the public, the CAC conducts our meetings virtually on the second Monday of each month from 6:45 to 8:45 during the school year. Our meeting schedule is currently posted on our AACPS CAC webpage, which is located underneath the board tab on the AACPS website. We held our final regular meeting for the 2021-2022 school year on Monday, May 9th. The Perspectives and Impact Focus Series is a new initiative this year, celebrating the legacy of the late Honorable Candace C.W. Antwine to embrace and embody and celebrate all of AACPS's diversity in a more cohesive and empathetic community. The all means all driving value for last month was acknowledging May as the mental wellness month, featuring our CAC Wellness Lens team final report overview, Beyond COVID-19 Disasters, a perspective for AACPS in disaster proofing education, presented by the co-captain of the committee, Dr. Julie Newman. The team was requested to investigate what would be required to allow AACPS to pivot to maintain education delivery in a most efficient and effective manner in the event of a future crisis, where access and large gatherings present a danger to faculty, staff, and community and students within the community. The research took the unique perspective, is this good for the whole child, using the tenets of the Wellness Lens subcommittee. Dr. Newman shared key pieces from their final report that will provide a foundation for a potential roadmap in disaster proofing the education system. The team's work expanded our ability to lean into the next chapter in considering the future. Our collective experiences and others' journeys aim to improve our school system and communities, to foster awareness, to encourage participation, and overall to empower us to achieve quality education for all learners, regardless of external influences. During our public comment section, we were pleased to recognize members of our community joining our session. Their presence is an invaluable partnership to us in supporting the Board of Education. We endeavor to be a devoted partner of the Board of Education to build solutions through our collaborative experience with the community and stakeholders for engagement for all the policy that impacts all of our perspectives. Next, our subcommittees is where the heart of the CAC work lies. The Hate and Bias and Ready to Read early literacy teams have completed their frameworks and will be submitting their final activities this month for the board to review. For the final business action of this year, in accordance with KBA-RA, the CAC held its annual elections for the 2022-2023 school year leadership roles for chair, vice chair, and secretary, along with the Policy and Equity Committee primary members. We are pleased to announce the results. For chair, Tanisha Howard, for another year. For vice chair, thank you. John Conwell will be his second year as vice chair. And for secretary-elect is Anthony Petroselli. For Policy Committee primary is Maisie Howard, and for Equity Committee primary is David Soretta. This year, the CAC participated in supporting the following policy and policy areas: Emergency Plans, Pandemic Response; JAA, Redistricting in Attendance Areas; JCD, Student Attire and Personal Appearance; the new food allergies; Special Advisory, Hate and Bias; Special Advisory, Ready to Read and Early Literacy; and Special Advisory, Wellness Lens.
This year has been challenging, uplifting, and another consequential year for the CAC in adjusting to a persistent pandemic, going from virtual to in-person learning. Our committed members who tirelessly gave of their time remain steadfast to serve the board through their active participation, one of the highest level of engagements in my CAC experience. Every year continues to top the prior, and has been my honor and privilege to work with such talented, motivated, and consummate professionals. For those who are transitioning to their next endeavors, you always know where to reach us, how to continue to help us, and always have an outlet to let your passion shine. To Dr. Arlotto, it has been a pleasure serving the board with you. I personally want to thank you for your leadership before and during the pandemic and the transition to now fostering an environment to reimagine education, all the possibilities that allow AACPS to meet the needs of students, staff, and educators. While the road was not without bumps and there are incredible successes, you remain diligent in the commitment to the commitment and delivery for the process in creating a best-in-class educational system. Thank you, and good luck with your future endeavors. To Boomi, I want to say thank you for your leadership. It has been a pleasure working with you on the Equity Committee and seeing how it blossomed into reality, leaving off from where Drake did and moving it into something that was your own. You really created a space, particularly for the inclusiveness and really addressing the matter of how do we have a all means all with our military community. So thank you for that. To the board and of course, Dr. Arlotto, on behalf of the CAC, thank you for your continued support, continued engagement, continued outreach so we can be most impactful. We look forward to next year striving to meet and maybe exceed the standards set by this 2021-2022 committee. The work ahead prepped by this membership will provide the foundational tools for next year's groups to be poised for success, delivering the assistance required by the board to meet its overall goals and address the challenges at hand and into the future. As always, we welcome and appreciate your feedback and look forward to another year with purpose, direction, and results. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Howard, for an excellent year. We truly appreciate it. And the partnership with the CAC is invaluable. And I know the fact that they've reached such terrific heights with their work has everything to do with your leadership. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so we will move to section 5, consent items, award of contracts.
Who will say? Motion to bundle 5.01 through 5.13.
Second.
Do we have consensus to bundle? Agreed?
Yes.
Ms. Frank, do you have a question? Or?
Consensus to bundle, yes, and then I have a question.
Okay, all right, so we have consensus to bundle. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend that the Board of Education authorize the award of contracts as listed on today's agenda, 5.01 through 5.13.
So moved.
Second.
Do we?
I seconded.
Yeah, okay, we had a second. All right, so now, Ms. Frank.
I had a quick question on the service vehicles 5.13. Were those the buses that we were hoping to acquire?
You mean the vans?
The vans, the passenger vans. I'm sorry, the passenger vans. No, they're not. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I read through it. There are trucks and lots of interesting things you can look at. Yeah.
I'm looking for those.
Yeah. Okay, seeing no more lights, Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Okay, moving to section 6, action items. Item 6.01, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend that the personnel listed on the attached sheets be promoted and or appointed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is that a light, Ms. Frank? No. Okay. Okay, seeing no lights. Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Moving to item 6.02, 2022-2023 board meetings, hearings, and workshop calendar. Is that Dr. Arlano? No.
No, that's us.
Okay, that's us. All right.
So I'm going to move that we adopt the board meeting calendar as amended.
Second.
Okay. Seeing no lights. Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 6.03, term extension on Executive Committee of Countywide Citizen Advisory Committee. Again, that's one of ours.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Seeing no lights. Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 6.04, fiscal year 2023 operating budget. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend approval of the Board of Education's FY 2023 operating budget as approved by the County Council.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen.
For the record, Alex Shacknovich, Chief Operating Officer.
Matt Stansky, Director of Financial Operations.
Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to provide the board with a brief overview of the recently adopted operating budget as passed by the County Council on the 14th of June, 2022. As you recall, the journey began back in December when the superintendent remitted his recommended operating budget. It was then acted upon by the board and turned over to the county executive by March 1 as required in the county charter. The county executive on the 29th of April presented his recommendations to the county council relative to not just the Board of Education's budget, but all of the other departments of the county and component units of the county. The county council then held a series of hearings and briefings, and on the 14th of June convened to resolve their budget deliberations. The exhibit before you, therefore, is that version of the budget as adopted by the county council. I'll begin by saying it does not materially differ from that presented by the county executive. There will be one difference that I will point out, but it's not material to the document. So again, as a very brief overview, in terms of the budget that was adopted on the revenue side, the Board of Education had recommended or requested a recognition of an additional $500,000 of federal revenue, and that in fact was approved. Similarly, the Board of Education had requested approximately $62.9 million of state revenue enhancement on unrestricted side, $9.5 million of which was specifically assigned to the Blueprint Initiative. That was again approved. Of the requested $79.5 million of unrestricted general revenue from the county, the county council adopted a budget that had approximately $40.4 million. In fact, the county adopted budget provides 50 million in total, broken down into that original 40.4 million in unrestricted, and then an additional $9.6 million in compulsory matching money assigned specifically for the Kerwin initiative. So $50 million is the figure. That is the number that aligned with the county executive's recommendation, as you all recall. The only change, and it's more in style, not substance, is on the local line. In the previous document, as recommended by the county executive, there was actually an E-rate related cost reduction on the expense side of about $680 million. The accountants put all their heads together, rubbed a lot of sticks, and came up with the idea that it really should be in the revenue line, which is where we first recommended it that it be. They came around to our way of thinking, so they simply moved it from the bottom of the page back up to the top of the page. It's the exact same set of dollars. Again, it's just to bring it into better alignment with generally accepted accounting principles. In totality, then, on the unrestricted side of the budget, about $114.3 million of new year-over-year revenue. In addition to that, there's about $44.8 million of restricted revenue, getting us to $159.191 million. On the expense side, there was no differences. I will hit a couple highlights, but there was no differences save for that one accounting adjustment, again, where we took the 680 from down below and moved it above the line. At a very high level, in compensation, about $53.2 million all in. The county council's budget fully funded that recommended budget that was put forth by the superintendent and this board and the county executive, so there's no changes there. About $35.3 million of fully funding towards our commitments, as is shown there. Again, that's an exact match with the board's request. Something we're going to have to pay attention to going forward on the next page, Miss Money, is again only about $2.2 million worth of revenue against the ESSER funding cliff. So that is a topic that we collectively are going to have to come to grips with and wrestle with in the budget year ahead. And then finally, in the program enhancements, again, there were no changes between the briefing that we previously gave you following the 29th of April submission and today. When you get to the bottom line then, overall, again, I previously had given you the revenue numbers, and this money can go to the bottom of the next page. Again, about $159.191 million of new revenue year over year. Again, about $114.3 million of that is unrestricted, albeit some of it assigned towards Blueprint. In total, that's an 11.61% in total year-over-year revenue growth, and it's sufficient funds to provide 424.0 funded FTEs of the original 745.6 FTEs that were requested. And with that, we will rest and be open to any questions from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Sheknovich. Ms. Shulhan.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Arlato and his team, most notably Mr. Sheknovich and Mr. Stansky, and your respective teams for putting together a pretty fabulous budget, and to see it remain intact throughout the process is fantastic. So I also want to express my gratitude to County Executive Pittman, to all the county council people who voted for this budget. I am indeed very grateful. Our students are grateful. This helps their future. This helps our staff. You know, it all starts with education, and I'm delighted. Obviously, I think I'm showing my extreme support. So it's not going to come to any surprise to anyone that I will be voting yes to approve this, and I'm just I'm just thrilled. This is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Silkworth.
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. So I am also very grateful because this budget, as many have talked about it. It is a historic budget in terms of the numbers. I certainly would like to thank the county executive, county council for listening about this historic budget for our kids, our staff, and our families. But the budget started with the presentation from Dr. Alada back in the fall. He had the vision to be able to make requests based upon our real needs, not based upon what he thought that we might get. So I gave Dr. Alada a standing ovation, as everyone in this room did when he presented his budget. I do that again. And maybe I really should stand up. I would also like to, of course, thank Mr. Saknovich, Mr. Stancy, and your team for the tremendous collaboration that took place. And of course, Ms. Schauheim, as the leader of the budget committee, she did a fantastic job in helping board members come together with what we thought maybe we should also be requesting. This is a budget that we need for our kids. And so thanks for everybody that helped.
Thank you. Ms. Ellis.
Thank you. Yeah, I too want to just say that when we are in a time economically that we're able to do this, it is heartening to see the county make such a commitment and an investment in our students. I do have to point out one line item that I simply find disappointing, which is the constituent services liaison for the Board of Education. This board has got to do a really good job this year of educating everyone involved on this need for the community. I think people look at a line item and they say, oh, the Board of Education wants $120,000. This position is for the community. And it's public information, so I'm going to put it out there right now. I make $8,000 as a board member. I work full time. I have to. I find it very challenging to follow up on all of the matters that are brought to me by my constituents, and they deserve it, and they voted for me to do that for them, and I do my very best. But this position, I'll say it one more time, is for the community. We will serve you better with this one person. So I hope we'll get this in. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Corkadell.
I want to extend gratitude to the wonderful team that we have on the financial and budget side. Every single day, they were there advocating for our students and our community. And so very much thanks. I also want to echo just very briefly what Ms. Ellis had said. I served in that capacity for the county, and I just find it very, there's no balance of logic to having individuals who have to represent the same quantity of people have to share less than 20% of available administrative resources to them. And our team is so awesome, but there's only 24 hours in a day. And Ms. Ellis is right. If these positions were sought to be more full-time, that would be probably a consideration. But as it stands, every time we have a major issue occur, and it was so frustrating for me as being someone who I know my constituents always could count on me to be there. And I don't have that person to do that for you now in kind. And it just seems to be a disservice to the community, because we need someone who's at your community meetings, who's at your PCRC meetings, the Police Community Relations Committees, at the chamber meetings, at the caucus meetings of our key stakeholders, at the Fort Meade Alliance meetings. I mean, I could go on for hundreds of them. To be there to make sure your voices are heard. It is critical and crucial that government remain open and available. And that does require a little bit of man force. We didn't ask for legislative aid, and we serve all 3 branch levels of authority of government. So we're not just legislators. And we serve all of that. We have more meetings than anyone else does elected. And yes, we have to spend the same amount of money and time and effort to get elected. And that is something new, perhaps, the community needs to wrap around. But I understand that the council could not, at this moment in time, take that on with the county executive not supporting it. I hope that next year when we present it, because, well, I will at least be motioning to present it as an amendment, if not already incorporated into the budget, because I care about our people and you deserve a good response. Overall, the budget was pretty good, but I'm going to express, just as a final note, the same concerns I expressed last year before we passed this budget. I was watching all day long how the economy is starting its tumble, and how long that could be, not really sure. But I do know that we've got some major ESSER funds cliffs that we're going to have to tackle together. And so I look forward to working with the county and the state both, all of our funding sources, to ensure that we capture that, because I'm even a little more concerned based on our economic profile of our sustainability for some of this. And so I hope we can work together. But I just wanted to echo some concerns I know some of the council had to that effort, because it's real and we've got to do our part. We didn't have too much of a choice this year, but moving forward, we're going to have to think long and hard and make sure our investments count for a lot. We went a long way this year, but I'm very concerned about some of our bills coming due for those Chromebooks and other types of things. And I know Alex will continue to just fight really, really hard for it and advocate for it. And that's what government's all about. So, and that's what we do as part of our job. But I will be voting for it tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Frank, did you put your light off? Yeah.
Yeah, well, since you asked. No, I absolutely agree with my colleagues on the constituent services. We certainly, as an 8-person body, should have 8 constituent service liaisons. And I'm actually considering maybe that will be my amendment next year, just letting the folks at home know that. One thing I am concerned about is 11.6% growth. I mean, it's definitely better than the 14.4% potential year-over increase. I did not vote for this budget originally. I will not be voting again for tonight. And I would like to say, as a person who is also working, my husband usually is the main breadwinner in our house. He usually gets a 3% raise. So this is such a huge increase compared to what a normal person would see as what they're able to make. And it's in a year where we already have high inflation. So the potential ramifications of this much growth is very concerning. And I would like to just put that on record.
Thank you. I would just add my thanks for all the work of Mr. Sheknovich, Mr. Stansky, and the budget team. Thank you also to Ms. Schalheim again for your leadership work on budget committee. I think your work has really helped the board solidify around the items that are on our list, and I think that's made this process much more productive. I certainly share the concerns about the constituent services person. And I think we will obviously tackle ESSER next year and many other things. But thank you. Thank you. I think we owe a debt of gratitude for this at this moment for the support we're getting from the county. And Ms. Ellis's comments earlier around start times, I think this is a reminder that this is a joint effort. Schools are everyone's future. And when the schools are strong, this county will be strong. And so I'm grateful to the commitment that the county executive and the county council has shown to our schools. With that, do we have a, wait, we had a motion, we had a second.
Yeah,
So now we
yeah,
have a
we can
vote.
vote.
Excuse me. Yes.
Ms. Frank?
Nay.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadow?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasore?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Thank you. Item 6.05, fiscal year 2023 capital budget. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend that the Board of Education adopt the County Council approved FY 2023 capital budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sheknovich.
Again, good evening. For the record, Alex Sheknovich, Chief Operating Officer.
Lisa Seaman Crawford, Director of Facilities.
Kyle Ruff, Supervisor, Planning, Design, and Construction.
And we're here to provide a brief overview of the 2023 fiscal year County Council approved capital budget. The timeline and trajectory for this path is even longer than the operating budget. As you recall, this came first before this Board of Education in September for the purposes of our remittance to the state per the requirements of the IAC. The board, again, upon Dr. Arlotto's advisement, took it up in December, and then from there it followed its normal sequence of the board concluding its work before March 1, the county executive putting forward his recommendation on April 29th, and the county council doing their work such that they could adopt as the final fiscal authority this budget on June the 14th. When I reported before this board in following the 29th of April, I at that time said that this was a historic capital improvement budget. Historic by the mere fact that the budget that the Board of Education adopted was 100% approved. We had asked at that time for 196.4 million, and 196.4 million was in fact what was put forward as recommended. I've got to sort of correct that, because when the county council concluded their work on the 14th of June, not just did they meet or exceed that previous record of fully funding, they actually overachieved and overfunded your budget, but legally. Subsequent to the county executive's recommendation, we did receive some additional grants from the state of Maryland and from the video lottery terminal, the Laurel Racetrack, and the live casino zone. And as a result of that, the county government and the council is able to recognize revenue not previously anticipated, as long as it is from another source. The county Madam Auditor, as well as the county controller, certified those funds and put the council in a position to adopt those recommendations. And therefore, you will see two blue bars on this exhibit before you, and Ms. Money can scroll up just a little bit more. You'll see that in the upgrade to various school category, there's about a $249,000 improvement. And in the athletic stadium category, there's about a $2.4 million improvement in that line item. All in, the county council adopted budget then rests at $199.2 million of new appropriation authority as we head into the FY 2023 fiscal year for the capital budget. And with that, again, we'll rest our presentation and be open to any questions or comments.
Thank you. Ms. Schallheim.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for your work in putting together this budget initially, and I want to express gratitude to the county executive and to the county council. I do have a question. I'm just sort of blown away. My question was going to be like, why, like, did they back out so many? Because it had not computed that they could go over, and so in my mind, I had switched the columns a little bit. So with the increase in funding for item 24 athletic stadium improvements, would that include perhaps the addition of lighting in some places where there had been none? Like what are we going to do with that extra funding?
It's $1.8 million for a second turf field, which will come with lights and the scoreboard for North County High School, and an initial $800,000 for a field house at the Chesapeake High School Athletic Complex.
Wow, that's awesome. Would you happen to know then what schools would still be outstanding in terms of a lighted field? High schools?
Well, the only school that will be remaining after the completion of North County that will not have a second artificial field at it that is fully lit would be Southern High School. So we'll be down to one, and I would hope that the board would help us advocate for that as we go into the year ahead and get us in a position where all the schools will. And this has been a long journey. It started in 2008. We're one short of mission complete here, and we need everybody to help us with some advocacy next year.
Well,
Southern High School.
Consider it done from this board member, because we all advocate for things all up and down the county. So
it's truly a matter of equity. I mean, if every school's got two except for one school,
for sure.
That's where we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
I mean, we fought the fight, but there's even limits, at the state level. So we fully recognize that, but it's going to have to be an all hands on deck effort next year.
Absolutely, 100%. I remain delighted. It's to not see this, full of red banding as we've seen in the past, or a lot of blue, but in the opposite direction is stunning. I should take a mental picture because I'm sure it'll happen again. But this is incredible. So thank you so much for all of your good work. I'll really appreciate it.
Ms. Ellis?
Thank you. So Arundel Middle School had an addition, and initially when that was planned, the community was told there's going to be one right after it. And obviously there's been so much growth. So is that, I know we have additions in here, and I'm sorry, I don't recall the construction plans that are ongoing, but can you address Arundel Middle School?
So Arundel Middle School is not funded in the 23 budget. Crofton Middle School and Park Elementary School are the two schools that are embedded within this version of the capital budget.
Okay, that's what I seem to recall. But so there's been, okay. So when do you anticipate Arundel Middle will be getting another addition? Because we're now going to have, we have several elementary schools over capacity. That growth is going to pour into Arundel Middle.
Quite frankly, TBD. I mean, we're going to have to take a look at the demographics and take a look at the state's algorithm to see when the projected enrollment will coincide with its with it becoming eligible for funding by given the state's funding algorithm or matrix that they utilize.
So as far as you recall right now, the demographics aren't there yet?
I don't believe currently. So every July, the state puts out its new guidance documents that sort of have the term and conditions under which we can apply for projects. That then triggers an analysis by Ms. Seaman Crawford and Mr. Roof and their team. They then go through all of the county infrastructure, match it up against a new guidance document, determine which which projects would be eligible for co-funding, and then from there, there's sort of a prioritization algorithm. So we here in the state are both very fortunate that the state does participate to an extent in public school construction. That helps our local dollars stretch much further. But because of that, we've also been conditioned to basically only rely on projects that are eligible for state funding. So, it's a delicate balance that we go through each year. But again, the facilities team is extremely diligent in trying to protect the county taxpayers' dollars, to stretch our local dollars as far as we possibly can, and then try to get as much built infrastructure and environment put in place as we possibly can with those dollars.
So just make sure I heard you right. The numbers, the demographics are looked at in July for the construction of the next budget.
We
Is
get
that right?
Right. We get the guidance document in July. In September, we'll be bringing, just
Right.
as every year, will be the
Right.
next cohort of recommendations. So
Okay.
that's kind of the time frame we're looking at.
So considering the explosion of growth over the past year, it's possible the demographics will put that project on the next budget.
We've got a lot of competing
Mhm.
needs as well.
All right. Thank
Somehow
you.
we're gonna have to find homes for a lot of 3 and 4-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a state mandated timeline for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no more lights. So, Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Thank you all for your work. Okay, moving to item 6.06, 6.06, registered student sex offenders entry onto school property, code JT. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the third reading, and I'm recommending approval of policy JT, subject to final correction for style and format.
So moved.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Ortiz. Do you have anything to present?
For the record, Jeanette Ortiz, Legislative and Policy Counsel. I do not have anything to add. Thank you.
Ms. Ellis, is that a new button? Okay. Okay, seeing no lights, Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasori?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay, moving on to policy revisions, first reading, item 6.07, Wellness Code AE. Ms. Ortiz.
So policy AE Wellness is before you on first reading. The policy was last updated on September 16th, 2020. It has been amended to update the purpose section, clarify the board's commitment, state the board's support for an AACPS wellness lens, describe the wellness lens, and make stylistic revisions. This policy will be on the AACPS website for a 30-day public comment period. I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Schallheim.
Yes. Hi. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
So I'm sorry. One more time. This was brought back to do because of like a board member request or staff or law.
So this was, thank you for the question. This was as a result of the board's interest in establishing a wellness lens. At least several board members have expressed that interest. And so my colleagues and I kind of went back to see what made the most sense to create a new policy or amend an existing policy. And so after discussion and also with feedback from the CAC and at least a couple of meetings with the policy committee, it was determined that updating the wellness policy would be the best way to incorporate a wellness lens. And so just as additional information, we will be updating the accompanying regulations. Staff will be working on that during the summer. And so currently, right now, we're required to have a wellness, like a scorecard for MSDE. And so in conversations with the policy committee, feedback that we had received from the CAC and from the board previously, my colleagues believe that it would be great to turn the scorecard into the wellness lens, which would be similar to how we have the equity lens. And so that would be the path forward. And then the policy just sort of states, the wellness lens and describes what the wellness lens would be. And then so staff will be working on incorporating those details as part of the regulation.
Thank you. So specifically, would things like recess fit into this lens on a policy level? I mean, because that's where we could add it.
Yeah, so that was not discussed specifically on the policy level, but certainly on the wellness lens and the regulatory level, physical activity is something that we already reference and discuss. And so physical activity will be one of the sections that would be in the regulation.
Excellent.
The scorecard covers, I believe it's 10 or 12, it might be 10 different sort of subsections, if you will.
Great. Yeah, just something to think about. This is just the first reader, of course, but something to think about. But thank you so much. I like what I see. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Ellis.
Thank you. I was very pleased to be a part of the policy committee as this was being developed. I really want to thank Ms. Ortiz and our wellness council for their input. It was a delightful process to get to where we are right now. It was first a discussion, and thank you, Ms. Dent, for leading the policy committee in this effort. It was first, as Ms. Ortiz described, it was a discussion because the board has indicated for some time that we want a wellness lens to ensure that everything we're doing, every decision we make, considers the health of the student. And so that could involve curriculum and educational practices, and of course, school hours and recess and all sorts of every aspect of a student's education experience. So, at first the discussion was, should it be two policies? And I really went into that thinking it should. And but as we talked about it, it became very clear that this was the way to go. I do think, those details are not typically in policy, dictating how many minutes or hours of recess and those types of things. But this policy is designed to ensure that those decisions are made with the student's wellness in mind. And there's tremendous amount of research supporting plenty of recess for students. So I would anticipate that that's coming because of all of this. So I just want to thank everyone. I think 3 meetings we probably covered.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I thought 2, but 3. And thank you so much for mentioning the Wellness Council, because I failed to do so. Yes, the Wellness Council was involved. They will be involved as well in the creation of the scorecard and how that's formatted.
Right. So previously, I think we had a policy that wellness felt like, at least reading it, it was more about educating students on wellness. And, now this is about addressing student wellness in every form. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Seeing no more questions on this, item 6.08, ethics and conflicts of interest, code BAF.
So policy BAF, ethics and conflict of interest, is before you on first reading. The policy was last updated on May 1st, 2019. It has been amended to align with recent revisions by the State Ethics Commission to the state model ethics policy. Revisions include updates to definitions, clarification regarding financial disclosures, clarification regarding gifts, clarification regarding the disclosure of confidential information, clarification regarding public records, guidance regarding business name disclosures, clarification regarding disclosure of relationships with specified entities, and stylistic revisions. This policy will also be on the AACPS website for a 30-day public comment period. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Frank?
Yes, I will definitely be calling you. This is a very long policy, and I
Yes.
certainly have some meatier questions. But a really quick question that I think you might just be able to help me out with tonight is under 2, employment and financial interests, BII.
Can you give me a page number?
8. Sorry.
Thank you.
It says, subject to other provisions of policy, regulation, and law, a member of the board in regard to financial interest or employment held at the time of the oath of office, if the financial interest or employment was disclosed in the financial disclosure statement filed with the certificate of candidacy to be a candidate of the board of member or a member of the board. So we took out the appointing authority piece, underneath. But I wanted to see how that would work with a potentially appointed board member, as we have in the case of Ms. Dent, to make sure that that is still acknowledged and
Yes,
followed.
and I believe the reason, I'll go back and double check because I looked into that. But so we file with like the ethics panel here that we have as a school system. So the board has an ethics panel. Board members do not file with the county council, which under current law, now that we've, the board has become a fully elected board, the county council has appointing authority, and that's a distinction there. But I can certainly circle back and double check. And so it was drafted differently previously because we were an appointed school board and then partially appointed and partially elected. And for the fully elected boards, that's the language. And all elected boards in the state do have an appointment process, obviously. But the difference is because, we don't report, the board or employees do not report their ethics disclosures to the council.
Okay, so I guess a good question would be, do other boards who still, they may appoint through the county council, do they have the same sort of language?
So I don't know if they have it. They should,
Okay.
because it's the state model policy.
Okay.
And so the state has a different language depending on whether you're appointed or elected board. So all of the elected boards have one version, and then the appointed boards have a different version.
Okay. So yeah, I would definitely want to follow up just to make sure that, we don't have an appointed board, but there still is a technicality where there
Sure.
could be an appointment.
And I can reach out
Yeah.
to the ethics commission staff. They were helpful with another question on the definitional side. So I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Corkadell?
Just a couple quick clarifications. Ms. Ortiz, was there a reason that the state provided why uniquely the University of Maryland medical system is just like raging out in every single thing? I was just curious. Why just them? Like,
Yeah, and so they did provide, the draft model policy with the amendments, and they did provide a document that kind of broke things down. But in the document, it was not broken down. I'm guessing, and I can certainly look into it, and I can ask when I send my my inquiry about the appointing authority. I'm guessing it may have had something to do with either change in state law or a particular issue that may have come before them. But I can ask about that.
okay, thank you. I was just curious because I'm like,
Yeah, that
why
definitely stood out as
UMMC?
well.
Like, why not the others? But I know there's always that hospital thing that happens up at the state where they just go back and forth and back and forth. I do have a question trying to clarify. There's one section in there, it's 6C sub 5. It says association representing counties, and then I saw it, I believe, in 2 or other places or municipal corporations.
So that language,
Association representing a county, if I read that in plain English, there's a lot of associations that represent counties that are broken out, including like the associations for realtors. Every the larger NAR, MAR and then they're broken out to counties, just like with MABE, for example, or PZAM,
Yeah,
and
no,
some of
that's
the
a
others.
good question. I think that language more specifically relates to the Maryland Association of Counties, but they don't typically put names of entities like that in regs unless it's like, to establish a board or commission or something, and it's like members in the Maryland Municipal League. So I think that language is looking to cover those entities in areas where it previously wasn't specified.
So maybe the better question would be to ask, does this also then inadvertently include others?
Yeah, I can ask about.
That would be great to find out, just to make sure we're not putting ourselves in a position inadvertently. And then I did have one other quick one here. Where the heck is it? 6E, it says, or political event. So on political events, though, we are elected bodies and actually host political events. That's how we operate in order to raise funds, in order to reach out to the public like every other elected official. Does the use of the political event preclude us from participating in political activity, number one? And number two is, how could we conduct ourselves? I thought we were under the state elections stuff on political activities.
Can you give me a page number, please?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. And
Page 10.
is it page 10? Okay. It just sort of stuck out because it's the only place where, and I know we have some other language sitting in our other policy concerning that. I just wanted to get clarification on what they mean by a political event.
Sorry, I'm not finding it on page 10.
Hold on.
The site. Thank you. E-gift tickets
Yeah.
are free admission extended to members. Cultural political event. It says you may accept. So this
Yeah, no, I'm wondering why we would, because ticketed events implies a donation. So that would be if they hand us that ticket, so it doesn't have any monetary value. So is that what they're referring to?
So I believe the reason, because you're elected official, and this relates to all elected officials in the state of Maryland, and the legislature and the state ethics law and the commission recognize that there are many instances where elected officials may attend another elected official's fundraiser, for example, and may not pay for it. If you have the Speaker of the House, going to support a candidate, or the committee chair, for example, they're not going to pay for the event. And so this language encompasses those situations so that there is not a finding, like an ethics violation finding. It's sort of like in the course of work and expected that you wouldn't be, you can accept those tickets to those political events because you more than likely would not, be paying for attendance. So it just helps to protect elected officials for something that's very commonplace.
Okay. And then likewise, cultural, of course, that wouldn't include like sports tickets, right? Because this is saying permission, and I just,
they've had lots of inquiries in the past.
Yes.
On particular,
Well, that's why I was saying that.
basketball events and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. I see no more lights.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
I will reach out, as I mentioned, to staff of the State Ethics Commission on these particular questions and circle back with the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Okay, item 6.09, reappointment of school board ethics member. I think
So
that's
moved.
us. Yes.
Second.
I
There's
see.
no motion? Okay. What's an action item?
Oh,
Yeah.
I moved to a point. Hold on, I have it
Yeah.
up. I moved to, I had it up. Let me get
No,
the
it's
name.
not. It's not Dr.
I
It's us. It's our
I moved
board.
to reappoint Valerie Anais to the ethics panel.
Second.
Thank you. I see no lights. Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, item 6.10, terms of employment for Unit 1 employees for fiscal year 2023. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend board approval of the terms of employment for Unit 1 employees for FY 2023.
Second.
Okay. I see no lights. Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We need to read them into the record. I apologize.
That's okay.
Ms. Rawls?
Yes, good evening, Dr. Tobin, Dr. Arlotto, and members of the board. My name is Melissa Rawls, and I am the Director of Employee Relations. The negotiating team for the Board of Education and the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County Public Schools have not reached an agreement for fiscal year 2023. For this reason, I respectfully request the following terms of employment be established for Unit 1 employees for fiscal year 2023. The terms will continue in the agreement until a successor amended negotiated agreement is approved and ratified. The terms of employment will include no step or salary cost of living increases, and the 4-day work week will begin on July 6, 2022, and will run through August 9th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see no lights. Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Ms. Omasore,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 6.11, terms of employment for Unit 2 employees for fiscal year 2023. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend board approval of the terms of employment for Unit 2 employees for FY 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Rawls?
Yes, again, good evening, Dr. Tobin, Dr. Arlotto, and members of the board. For the record, my name is Melissa Rawls, and I'm the Director of Employee Relations. The negotiating team for the Board of Education and the Association of Educational Leaders have not reached an agreement for fiscal year 2023. For this reason, I respectfully request the following terms of employment be established for Unit 2 employees for fiscal year 2023. The terms will continue in effect until a successor amended negotiated agreement is approved and ratified. The terms of employment will include no step or salary or cost of living increases, no pay for performance, and the 4-day work week will occur from July 6th, 2022 through August 9th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no lights. Ms. Howell?
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Ms. Omasore,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 6.12, terms of employment for Units 5 and 6 employees for fiscal year 2023. Dr. Arlotto.
Thank you, Madam President. I recommend board approval of the terms of employment for Units 5 and 6 employees for FY 2023.
Thank you. Ms. Rawls?
Yes, good evening. Again, Melissa Rawls.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait, we need the motion in second. Apologies.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Rawls?
Yes, Melissa Rawls, Director of Employee Relations. The terms of employment have been established for Anne Arundel County Public School non-represented Unit 5 and Unit 6 employees for fiscal year 2023. The following is a summary of recommended changes. 1, that a step equivalent will be provided to all Unit 5 and 6 employees. A 4% cost of living adjustment will be granted to all Unit 5 and 6 employees. A 2% back step or catch-up step equivalent will be provided to eligible Unit 5 and Unit 6 employees that did not receive a step or step equivalent in the 15-16 academic school year. and this increase will be based on established criteria. The salary step structure will be eliminated for Unit 5 employees, and the 4-day work week will occur from July 6, 2022 through August 9, 2022. I respectfully request your approval of the terms of employment for FY23. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rawls. Seeing no lights, Ms. Howell.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadel?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Omasore?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. I believe that concludes our action items.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have consensus? Good night, everyone. Thank you.